Hello, everyone. My name is Dante McGilvery. I am a fourth year PhD Theater for Youth and Community student here at Arizona State University, and I also work in the Dean's office as the Dean's Fellow and Coordinator of Access and Culture. I am here today to talk briefly with you all from the subject resilience and grit in the face of challenges. Now, I want to begin with information and insight that a friend of mine who's a PhD in this program as well, Nicola Olson, informed me of, and that is the word resilience really, in its original um, use of the word, comes from an ecological background. In fact, ecological resilience was defined as the amount of disturbance that an ecosystem could withstand without changing self-organized processes and structures. So ecosystem was resilient if it had the ability to bounce back. And that bouncing back to me speaks to what resilience is really about. And there's many stories that I have that I could tell about times that I've experienced or observed resiliency. But one in particular I would like to discuss is about my own background. My mother was a high school student when she had me. In fact, she was raped and by an older man, and 9 months later, she gave birth to me. By the time my mother was 25, she had five children, and she was a single parent. Because of the situations that my mother found herself in, she could not complete her high school education. And therefore, she was a hard worker in the marketplace as a young adult, raising five children, working at minimum wage pay, uh, two and three jobs at a time. Well, by the time I graduated high school, I became the first in my household to graduate high school, the first to go off to college. But based on the neighborhoods we grew up in, I had never went to a school with other white people until I attended college. My first year in college was very difficult. I was, because I was a product of public school, I am a product of public school education, especially in the neighborhoods that I was reared in southern Dallas communities. I actually struggled my first year in college, and by the end of the first semester, found myself on probation. To speed things up a bit, I would go on to graduate the University of North Texas, and then, as I stated in my introduction, I'm now working on my PhD. But when people ask me, and I get this question a lot, how are you able to keep going despite the failures that I ran into time and time again? Failing a class, getting on probation, um, dealing with trauma and drama to be exact. Well, um, the thing about resilience is that you can bounce back, but that bouncing back, contrary to popular belief, is not something that is innate within all of us. In fact, we bounce back because resilience is based on community. Resilience isn't something that just comes naturally, flows naturally from us, outside of us, from within. It actually comes from having a community, a support team, a support group, friendships, relationships that help push you ahead, tell you you can, even when you doubt your own self. And I witnessed that in my own upbringing, that there were many times that I found myself depressed or found myself doubtful and worried, but there were always people that I could look to and talk to who would encourage me to keep going and help me get back on track. That is what resilience is really about. And grit is that tenacity and that fortitude to go even when you don't feel like going. That's something that I didn't learn of my own, but I learned that lesson based on my mother. Going back to my mother, who faced difficult times in her uh, childhood, teenage life, and young adulthood, my mother actually was a perfect example of resilience because no matter how much and how many times she was knocked down, she got up and tried again. She failed again, but she failed better in the terms of Samuel Beckett. And so, because of that, my mother was able to raise five of us. We got to a place where she established a home, provided us uh, a home to live in, to grow up in. And by the time I was graduated from college and everything, 2013 to be exact, my mother had achieved something she had been longing to do, which is earn her GED. So my mother is that force of resilience and that example for me because of her continual uh, message of her own journey of bouncing back. So I saw that in my mother and I gleaned from it. I encourage you to think about resilience in your own life and think about the people and examples of people that you know who continually bounce back after no matter how much defeat or failure they face, and to know that that's what resilience is about, bouncing back, but you can't do it alone. You need others to help you, support you, and push you along the way. And when they do that, be sure to say thank you. All right. Thank you for letting me speak with you today, and hope this was a great lesson.